Okay. We're live on YouTube.
We're live right now?
YouTube. YouTube. Hold on just 1 second. Oh, nothing like live.
What's up, guys?
Nothing like it. Okay, hold on. Yeti. Dun 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 dun. Okay. And you're not too live on Facebook. So
What's that?
you're not yet.
Oh, I am.
Okay. Is it you need me to part of that?
It was good. I'll mess with it.
Okay.
You go do your thing.
You
What up, guys? What up? That light. Something else. I have to get rid of that. All right. Oh, okay. There we go. What's up, one person? There's one person on right now. Actually, I can't tell on YouTube. Oh, yeah, I can. All right. Great. Welcome to the Dreaming Table, guys. I know I don't look like Allison, but she is finishing putting the kiddos down. Today is Luke, our 9-year-old's 10th birthday, now 10-year-old. So we are, what's up, Brandon? We are celebrating him today. So we took him lunch to school. We gave him a couple things after school, and then we told him he could come. He could go. Come down, Luke.
Why?
Come down and say hi to our people. This is our 10-year-old. He was at the top of the stairs. He heard his name. So come here, bud. Come here. You gotta come say hi to everybody. They're gonna all tell you happy birthday.
Oh.
A bunch of people. Say hi.
So.
Say hi to all these people watching. Look, there's like 20-something people watching. Say hi.
Hi.
And Luke loves llamas. Why do you love llamas so much?
Why?
Why?
I don't know.
Why?
I don't know.
All right. You can go to bed. I love you, buddy. Hey, give me a hug.
Why?
Because I'm not gonna. You're going to bed. Give me a hug.
Why?
Give me a hug. Come here. Love you, buddy. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah. So Luke turned 10. So I think he's mad at me now. Are you mad at me? No. Okay. So we said, buddy, you can go anywhere you want to eat tonight. We'll take you to dinner anywhere you want to go. And he said, Chili's. They're all telling you happy birthday, buddy. I was like, Chili's, buddy? You go anywhere you want to go. He goes, yeah. I was like, okay. And then on our way, he said that at school today, he told his buddies or his friends at school that he was going to Chili's for his birthday. And they were like, oh, we love Chili's. So apparently in a 10-year-old world, doesn't get any better than that. So, and it was good. Nothing, I can't say anything bad about Chili's. It's consistent. It was good. So, but Allie will be down here in just a minute. I wanted to basically just take up some of y'all's time, if that's okay. I was going to ask you guys, where's everybody from? You guys usually tell us where you're from, and we're always shocked because we see a couple from some other place around the world that we did not even know we have people watching us from. So please do tell us, while we have a second here before Allie comes down, where you guys are from. I see some locals. I see a few others. Kids are very smart. I know, and Luke, trust me, he's a really, really witty one. He's already outsmarting me, and he's 10 years old, which isn't real hard, but I don't know if she wants me to get into like content stuff yet or not, so I will wait. But I will do this. I mean, while I'm on here, guys, if y'all have any questions for me, no holds barred, I will answer them. They can be funny. They can be ironic. You've probably got, based on the sound of what's going on upstairs, you've probably got about 4 minutes with me. So, and Allie's not here to like elbow me to tell me to be quiet. So Got Missouri, Ontario, South Carolina, Cordell, America. I've been there. Magazine, Arkansas, Georgia, New York, Northwest Indiana, Newfoundland, Canada. I've never been to Newfoundland. I would love to go. Vancouver, Washington. Holy cow. Best memory from your big road trip with the kids. Oh, we were just talking about this road trip the other day. I stinking loved that road trip. You know what's funny about it? We had lots of great memories on the road trip. But some of the greatest ones were ones that we didn't plan, ones that just happen. And I think when you just put yourself out there and say, we're going to drive around the country for 25 days with our 4 kids, then some pretty awesome things happen. I will say 2 things that happened in Yellowstone National were my favorite things. One, 70 degrees out. Well, I say 70. It was probably like 60, 65 degrees out. And we're driving around. Goodness, I'm so sorry. We just got done seeing Big Ben, or not Big Ben, Big Geyser. What's it called? My mind just went blank. I was thinking England, Big Ben. No. Huge geyser. You guys know of it. Old Faithful. That's it. And we were actually driving to go see some mineral pools. And if you've been to Yellowstone, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. There's mountains everywhere. It's incredible. But we came around this big pass, this big curve, and there was a mountain there was a part of the mountain that was like a crevice that never sees the light of day. I mean, it's always in the shadows. And there was ice and snow just packed all the way up this hill on this mountain. And we got out and in 65 or 70 degree weather had a snowball fight. And the kids climbed this ice and this rock and slid down and did it multiple times. Wasn't planned. We had no idea we were going to see it. The kids still talk about that. I don't know why I'm yawning so much. I will say this daylight savings thing has thrown me off. Second thing that happened at Yellowstone National. So that was really cool, like memory I have with the kids. This other thing, we were driving, and if you've ever been to a national park where there's lots of wildlife, you know that sometimes you'll be driving and you'll see a game ranger that's like stopped and flagging people down to either, stop because maybe wild animals are crossing the road or stop because there's a really cool thing going on that you might want to see. And we came around this corner by this lake. It was beautiful. It was like a mountain on one side crashing into this lake. And this game ranger was kind of flagging people down. There were 3 or 4 cars parked in front of us. So we pull off and we look over and there's bears, like grizzly bears, playing on the side of this mountain. There were 2 big, probably, I think they were females, and then there was a cub, and they're rolling around and playing. So it was cool. So we get out of the car and we're close enough and far enough away from our car that if one of them had really wanted to make a run at us, it would have been sketchy for sure. But as we're sitting here watching these grizzly bears play in their own native environment, not worried about us at all, right about the moment I was sitting there taking it in going, this is pretty incredible. A bald eagle came flying in and literally landed on the tree right above the bears. And for me, it was this moment where I was just like, God bless America. Like, I don't know why, and I know that's funny, but it was this really cool moment. I'm in a national park watching grizzly bears just kind of frolic around, and a bald eagle came flying right over the top of us, probably just like 20 feet above our head, and then landed in this really tall pine tree right above these bears. And I was just like, that's it right there. That is incredible. So that was amazing. Lots of other incredible things from that road trip, but that was a really, really cool thing. So any other questions? Come on, guys. Allie just came down and went into the kitchen. So you got probably like one more question if you want to ask me something. Best road trip tip. Don't stay longer than 3 to 4 days without staying somewhere that you can do laundry. Pack light. Pack for 3 to 4 days of whatever climate you're going into, maybe 5. And then keep a dirty clothes suitcase every time you get a chance. Wash all the clothes so that way you can pack a lot lighter. And don't overpack. That would be my best road trip tip. Question from YouTube. Where's your favorite place that you have taken the kids? Man, we love going to all-inclusives in Mexico because for one, kids are fascinated by, even though most touristy places in Mexico, the culture is not crazy different, but just people are speaking other languages, food is different, beaches. You get a lot of really good things when you go to an all-inclusive in Mexico. So that would be probably one of my favorite places. And then we've done some other really cool trips in the U.S., but that would take me a while to talk about. I told them they could ask me anything. Best road trip. Must have road trip snacks. Ooh. Something that they can't crumble into tiny pieces, like no Chex Mix.
But you've got to do it anyway. I mean,
No, but you can do like goldfish and pretzels, things like that. They're all hard to crush into dust.
so I will say that.
Come on in. The water's
Hi,
fine.
y'all. Did you introduce yourself?
Yeah, but I will again. I'm Brian Dalkey, Allison Dalkey's
Quit banging the
husband.
table, though.
Sorry.
You do that.
And this is Allison.
Hi. I don't know what else all you said.
I was just talking about our road trip.
Sure, it's great. The road trip was unbelievable. Also, here's the thing: for somebody like me, with less natural adventure born into my being, I initially struggled for one with him and I traveling alone, like going away without our kids. And then once I got over that and loved that, it was a struggle sometimes to travel with our kids. Not a struggle, but for me, the anticipation and the thought behind all of it really I don't want to say stress me out, but it sort of did. Like everything, and now we have 4 kids, like everything that goes into planning, taking 4 kids someplace, especially on a 25-day road trip or overseas, it can seem overwhelming, but when you break things down into smaller chunks and just say, okay, here's how we're packing, here's the goal of the trip, here's what we really need, and you pare down and you make it happen. We don't have any better memories in our family than the very best memories from our family come from traveling.
Mm-hmm. True.
And
I mean, like our kids being born.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like things they actually
I
remember.
know.
They don't remember being born.
No, but the older ones remember the younger ones.
I was telling Luke, you were born 10 years ago today, and you were 4 weeks early, and he's just looking at me like, I don't remember any of this.
And he goes, what time of day was it? And we were like,
we don't know.
I don't know. I was like, I remember one of y'all was born on a Wednesday night because we missed the show Lost. And I remember, the random things you remember.
I don't know.
All right. So why don't we jump into it? Because they've been sitting here having to deal with me for the last 10
I thought
minutes.
you were almost done.
And amen. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Okay.
So let's talk a little bit about, if you've never taken your kids someplace, where would you start? First timers, we've never traveled before. Where do we start?
Were you asking me, or are you wanting them to?
I'm asking you.
Oh, man.
As a seasoned traveler with children.
I'm torn.
Okay.
Because part of me says, go big or go home. Because.
What's going big to you?
Well, I mean, commit. Okay, so you could say, start out by doing an overnight camping trip. And then do a 2-night stay in the city you live in, but at a hotel. And
unless you hate camping, but yeah.
Well, I know, but I'm saying you could say start small.
Yeah.
But when your back's to the wall
and
you can't drive home.
Yeah.
And you can't that's when
the memories happen.
The memories happen. And that's when the fun happens. So I would say commit. I mean, if you want to do a road trip with your kids, do it. Say we're going to do a 6-day or a 7-day and then commit to it. But that's what I would say. I mean, honestly, that's a great way to start.
A road trip.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the great way to start traveling with your kids is just a road trip.
Yeah.
We grew up going on road trips.
Yeah.
Our generation and the one before us.
Yeah.
That was.
How many? They are and they aren't. And it depends on the age of your kids.
That's true.
How many of you have never taken your kids anyplace? It hasn't happened, or whatever. I don't know. How many of you would say we've never taken our kids anywhere?
Yeah, throw up an emoji. Throw up a thumb or a smiley face or a heart or something if you haven't ever taken your kids anywhere. And you have kids under the age of 10, let's say, because those are still really fun traveling ages.
Yeah, they are.
Do you need us? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Same thing we do every week.
It is Monday.
Today's Monday. No, today's Monday. Love you. Our homeschooler forgets what days it is because she doesn't go to school.
So I think maybe all of you have taken your kids' places based on your reactions.
I guess, yeah.
Or lack thereof.
Okay, so we're gonna rethink
It's
about
so
our
dark
talk
in
tonight.
here.
Start when they are young. Someone said, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe there's comments.
Oh,
that are
I
not.
forget that there's no comments.
Oh,
because
yeah.
we're on- Hold on. Oh, I got it.
Pull one of our phones out.
I got it. What is your favorite? What's your favorite thing with our kids, vacation wise?
I already told them all about
Oh, the road trip.
that. No kidding. I just told them I think one of the funnest things to do is go to like an all-inclusive in Mexico
It is fun.
because there's so many pieces of it. You're in a different culture.
Yeah.
You have the beach right there. You're waiting on kind of hand and foot, so it takes away a lot of the stress of cooking and feeding kids because apparently you have to feed them 3 or 4 times a day. That's a thing, and I just think it's a great way to get away and be a family without having to worry about some of the details that can just really drag you down, if that makes sense. So now I will say we rent places with, oh good, what are you going this whole time?
Yeah, it's bad.
This time changing is kicking my butt. But I think that the things that can drag down a trip or can really change it are the details that sometimes you don't realize. It's 11 o'clock at night and one of your kids wakes up and needs milk and you don't have any milk in the fridge. So you have to try to figure out where you are and what stores are open and get an Uber to go there and all those things. Like those are the things that can wreck the next day.
Yeah.
Where when you're at a place like an all-inclusive, you don't have to worry about a lot of that stuff. Now, I will say we've done plenty of trips where we've been in a house with a kitchen and we've cooked all our own meals and we've done all that. And those are really fun. And if you're a meal planner and all of those things, those can be great. But what?
Nothing. I was just looking at comment.
What do you think?
I do love an all-inclusive for sure because it takes out that aspect. Like, especially traveling with kids, I like to cook at home, but still one of the reasons I love to travel with our kids is because as a mom, where there's something that always has to be done around the house, whether it's laundry or cooking another meal or picking up something, or it's never ending, right? There is so much freedom and time when you're away from home as a mom and that, like just as parents, because you're not worried about the projects that you're doing. You're not worried about, you just have this time to just be with your kids. I have the sweetest, like most cherished memories with my babes when we've been away because, I'm not saying that you can't do that at home, but there is something about being someplace else that forms a bond and creates a connection and just allows you the freedom to, kind of do things. So with an all-inclusive, it is fantastic that food is like not a thing. You don't have to worry about it. It's not a thing because it's everywhere and it's all the time, right? You don't have to worry about it. But we've also taken trips. Like I loved the trip. We went to Galveston one time.
That was a great trip.
How far of a trip was that for us?
The
drive.
8.5, 9 hours.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, 8.5, 9 hours. And we rented a house on the beach and we're really close. We were a little ways.
No. Galveston, we were on the beach.
Yeah.
Well, there was that like sand burn
Yes.
that we had to walk around.
Yes. Anyways, that was fun. Totally different than Mexico though, obviously.
Totally different.
Because we had to go get food. We had to cook food. But even in that, it's still different than being at home. It's a lot different than being at home. And we ate out and all the things, but there is something really beautiful about going to an all-inclusive and just not having to worry about it. And you're so close to the beach. You don't have to lug stuff. Like, these are all things I think about now all the time.
Yeah.
One of the fun things you can do too that I think is like if money is an issue, for one, I think a lot of people have a false expectation about the expense of what it costs to stay someplace. So I think when Airbnb came out, wouldn't you say that it was expensive to rent a house? Like more so than the hotel?
Not necessarily.
You don't think it was?
I think people are scared. I don't think they're as scared as they were.
Yeah.
But I think people, the thought of, and here's the thing, Airbnb started as a premise to rent out an extra space, like to rent out a room or to rent out a guest house.
Right.
Where now it's become kind of what VRBO was for a long time, like a vacation rental.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we do a lot of Airbnb and VRBO. And as long as you read the reviews and you understand what you're getting into, we've even done shared spaces when we've had our kids. Like we rented out someone's entire basement.
Let's talk about that.
When we were in Colorado, and it was awesome.
It was.
But you were scared.
Yes. So I didn't know all the places that we stayed on our road trip were either hotels or we were in a home, like the whole thing. We stayed in the cutest place in San Francisco, just right off the street. Like, just
didn't love San Francisco, but that place was awesome.
Well, yeah, the house we stayed in was fantastic. I really loved the house we stayed in. Anyways, yeah, we like stayed in someone's house, but Colorado, we get there and we were in these people's basement and like the stairs are just open to their basement. And we don't know these people. Their reviews are great, but my mind is like, but we'll be the ones. Like they've been waiting. They've been racking up their 5-star reviews. And this old man is going to kill us in our sleep.
They're just shining his pistol.
Like these are the things that ran through my brain. They were the nicest, they were so
I told him
kind.
after we had talked to him a few times and all of that.
But I was like, what have you done?
We were talking to him and his wife, and I'm like, I told him the second day I think we were there, I was like, I'm so glad you guys seem so great, because my wife was really worried that you were like going to come kill us in our sleep, and she was worried that there wasn't a lock on our door, and all these things. And he's laughing. He's like, my wife says the same thing every time some stranger stays here. She's like, these are going to be the one. These are going to be the ones that come upstairs and try to. And so they actually had a lock installed on their door, and I was like, okay, well, I won't be the one if you won't be the one. He's like, deal. We're like, okay. So, but they ended up being great. So, yeah, I mean, just get out there and, take a risk and go somewhere. I thought what you were going to say is that people have a preconceived notion that all inclusives are really expensive. But when you really do the math.
I think people may have that thought too.
When you do the math, so we're actually debating right now what we're going to do next week for spring break.
Sometimes we're last minute travelers also.
We are.
We are.
We stay fluid.
We stay fluid.
We stay fluid.
We don't want to nail anything down. Like we want to have options.
Well, the season that we're in right now, we've got a lot of traveling we're committed to over the next 4 or 5 months. If you guys know us and know our business and know what we do, if you looked at our just business travel calendar for the next 6 months, I think we're gone 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
So, and then we also have, we've been having retreats in our home and we have all this stuff going on. And so when we saw spring break on the calendar this year, 2 things. One, we did Disney last year for spring break.
Yeah, we did.
I wouldn't recommend that to anybody.
Okay, Disney's amazing.
It was good and bad because during spring break, everything possible is open. But spring break at Disney, when you are kind of we booked our fast passes a week or 2 out. Well, if you don't do it 30 or 60 days out, you don't get anything. So the really good rides, we were riding on at 9:30 at night because nobody else, uses their fast pass.
It was still fun, but
it was still really fun.
But we went big last year.
But going into this spring break, we decided we're just going to play it by ear. We don't know what kind of weather there's going to be in Oklahoma. It might be really nice. We might want to stay. So we're trying to decide right now what we're going to do next week. We were going to drive to Florida or Alabama and maybe go to Orange Beach, Gulf Shores, Destin, someplace like that. But then we looked up the weather. Now we're close enough. We know what the weather's going to be. It's going to be 60 degrees there all next week. Well, it's going to be 60 degrees here. And you can't swim in the ocean when the water's 65 degrees. So now we're thinking we're either going to stay here or we might even go to a place like Mexico or something. But when you sit down and look at the airfare, the all-inclusive, all of that, it seems intimidating. But honestly, if you look at what we were going to spend going to Florida and then paying for all of our meals and all of our groceries and going out and doing entertaining things because we can't go and spend the whole day at the beach because it's 60 degrees, they end up being almost the same. So when you're planning ahead, just make sure you I think that's one big mistake people make when they're vacationing is they forget about the food and the entertainment and the junk they're going to buy and all the other stuff. And so make sure you're budgeting that. Basically what we always kind of try to plan, whatever our airfare and hotel cost, double that. And that's probably what your budget needs to be for your trip.
Depends on the size of your family too, but we have 4 kids.
No, it's the exact same.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. Because with every additional person, there's more stuff.
Yeah.
So, because here's the thing, if you're a frugal traveler and you get really good flights and stay in a really good priced hotel, that's probably going to carry over into the way that you eat and the things that you buy and all of that.
Right.
If you're a little more lavish traveler, you don't care as much about getting the perfect price flight and the perfectly priced hotel, then you probably travel that way too when you're out. So just take the airfare and the hotel, whatever that cost is that you pay for ahead of time, essentially double that, and you'll probably be pretty safe on your budget as long as you don't go crazy.
So I know somebody very specifically that we both know that does not think that travel is worth the money, like traveling with his kids.
I agree.
You agree?
I agree that I know the person. I'm sorry. I know who you're talking about. Is what I'm going to say.
This is going horribly wrong if that's what you agree with.
Yeah. No, I was trying to say like, because you said, I know a person, and I was going, oh yeah, I agree. I know that person.
Okay. Yeah. So what do you have to say to that? Like if you were at a party and you were having a conversation with another dad and he says like, I just can't justify it. It doesn't make sense to me to spend this much money. What kind of party?
Is it like the kind where there's music going, so we're doing this while we talk?
When have you ever been to a party like that?
All right. So man, I think you should travel. I think it's amazing. No, I'm kidding.
Please don't do that. Like as a guy, you're a you are a money person. Like,
right. Everybody's perspective is different on this topic, obviously. And you could look at the amount of money it takes to travel somewhere, and you could think, wow, I could use that for this, this, or this. The thing I would say is I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the guy said, I don't ever regret the time or the money or anything else that I spent on my kids doing anything, whether that was at a ball field or whether that was taking them on vacation. The cool thing about taking them places, it does a couple things. One, it creates memories for you guys that will last much longer than time spent at home type memories. And two, it shows your kids that they're worth something. It shows your kids that they're worth spending that money to do something, to bring them somewhere, to give them an experience. And then the third thing it does is you figure out a lot about yourself when you travel, I think.
Yeah.
I think that it's really easy to stay in the comfort of the four walls of your home. But when you travel, it brings out maybe a little more of the childlike wonder type thing in you. And you get to experience things for the first time with your kids, because we're so caught up in constantly telling our kids, well, you shouldn't do that because of this, or I learned from the way you're doing that you should, and when you go and travel somewhere and your son goes, Dad, look at that. Have you ever seen that before? And you're like, dude, I've never seen that before. How cool is that? It's really cool to share something with your child that maybe neither of you's ever seen or experienced before. And I think it just changes your relationship too, in a good way.
Yeah. Well, it's just like we have always said that we will spend money on experiences far more than stuff any day, because the stuff goes away, ends up in a donate box, it gets sold off, whatever. But the experiences, they can't trade, they can't give away, they can't, and they don't want to. That's my favorite part. I gotta move.
Yeah. Some of y'all are throwing out places like St. Petersburg. Yes, I would love to go there. But I'm only one person. We're trying to go to all the places we can.
Well, we are. So we do have, and I don't know if y'all know this, you probably do if you're watching right now. We have plans to take our kids out of school for a year, homeschool them, internet school them, whatever, and travel the world for a year, which is crazy.
Crazy.
But I will say,
we're doing it. Summer 2020. We're leaving.
Yeah. One of the things that was interesting about what you just said, and this same thing I think happens to our kids, is yes, you experience new things and see things in a new way, but you also get to watch your kids. You get to learn things about your kids when you travel that I don't think can be replicated in other ways.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Because I know, I feel like I know my kids better because of how we travel together.
Mm-hmm. Well, and this is a silly example, but very applicable to the situation. So we were in San Francisco, it was 2 summers ago now. And 2 summers ago. And it was a week where they were doing a lot of alternative lifestyle stuff. And we saw a man walking down the street completely naked. All he had was tennis shoes on.
Socks.
That's what he had on. Yeah, he had socks on. And I guess it's not against the law there to express yourself with nudity. So while I'm walking my then 9-year-old daughter across a crosswalk, and we see all these people's like heads snap, and we look over and there's a full frontal naked man walking down the street. It gives you the opportunity. For one, in our house, we've tried to never make it a weird thing. Like our daughter, our sons, they'll walk in on us in the bathroom, whatever. We just try not to make it like a shameful, body shaming type situation. Although the older ones are getting old enough that we try to be a little more modest around them. But it didn't freak her out as a 9-year-old because nudity just to us isn't a big deal. But it gave me a chance to have a conversation with her, because in good old Bible Belt, Oklahoma, you will not find someone walking around naked. If so, they'll be in jail. So it gave us an opportunity to talk to her about how there's other places in the world where laws are different and people think differently and they do different things. But it's okay, because we're called by God to love everybody and to show everybody the exact same love that Jesus showed for us when he died for us. And so, those aren't things that you plan. Like, you don't plan on walking out of a Greek sandwich shop and walking on a crosswalk over to a family park and seeing a naked man walking down the street just because he's doing it, just because he wants to and he can. But those are the kinds of things that if you stay in the comfort of your bubble, that you don't have conversations with about your kids. And those are things that, because of that, we've been able to have more conversations about, how there's people everywhere that think differently than we do and that have different views, and that it's not a bad thing. A lot of it's just conditional based on where you grow up and the country you live in and the languages you speak and all of those things. So it's really, we've been able to see our kids see more of the world, and it kind of open up their perspective on other people's opinions. Because I think sometimes we get so ingrained. Like, I know for me, I didn't travel hardly at all. And I got to college and was culture shocked that all these people didn't believe exactly like I did and think the same way I did. And I wanted to force my opinion on others because it's the right one, because it's the only one I've ever known, right? So it has to be right. So it's really helped our kids have a better perspective on, just culture in the world and the role we're supposed to play in it and all those things. So
even just all the way down to food. Like, we took Addie and Luke to Niagara Falls last spring to see some of our team members, and it was they didn't want to leave. It was such an amazing experience, and they loved it. And I mean, just awestruck about everything. But it was even fun just eating there.
Well, in Canada's not. So Niagara Falls isn't that different.
No,
everyone speaks the same language, and they have almost everything is very similar.
Yeah.
But there's some things that are very different. Our kids love poutine. If you don't know what word I just said, it's basically gravy, brown gravy on top of French fries with cheese curds on it. Yes. And it's a entree there. Like, it's what you order for dinner. Basically their version of chili cheese fries.
This is like eating cheese fries for dinner.
But it's even better. But it's an entree. Like, we would go out with our friends and they would order that as an entree.
Amazing.
We had it at almost every meal. It was incredible. But just things like that. And then we went, one fun thing that we do, this is a fun travel trip, I will say. Go with your kids. If you travel internationally at all, take your kids to a candy store or a Dollar Tree or a grocery store.
Yes.
And just let them see how different other places, the things that they have, the way they display items. So we went to, when we were in Niagara Falls or Toronto.
And that is even true in different parts of the U.S.
Yeah, for sure.
Like different regions, sort of.
Well, like if you go into Texas, there's way more spicy chips. If you go northeast, there's something different. You go northwest, there's something different. So every region has things that are different. And then let the kids try food that's more local to that place. So if you're going through New Mexico, have some green chili. If you're going through, other places, whatever's local and whatever's fresh, and have your kids try it and see what they think. Yeah. Because it might be something you don't have where you live.
Every time we've been internationally, we've always taken them, one, to a grocery store, and two, to just like
a Dollar Tree.
A dollar store. Like go get candy. And that was one of the most fun things we did with our big kids when we were in Canada, is just in the dollar store, just looking at all the different candy, because it's so different. Yeah. So it's just fun.
It is fun.
Hey, girl, hi.
Do you want to come make an appearance?
Yeah, she did.
What would you say? So we're talking about travel with kids. What's your favorite traveling memory? that you
Yes.
have? Because you travel a lot.
One of my favorite ones is when we were in Canada. We were taking pictures by this big old church right next to Niagara Falls.
Yep.
When we go to eat, and poutine is so good.
Poutine, yeah. See, poutine. But what would you say is your favorite road trip memory from a road trip?
I love being in California and with a big pool.
Oh, and Yorba
The
Linda.
house we stayed in California
Yeah,
was cool.
that was outside of Anaheim.
And like the dance room they had was
Oh,
so
yeah.
cool.
Guys, we rented this house. This is the other. This is
the other advantage to booking late.
good and bad. Limited selection,
Yes.
but on VRBO or Airbnb, people want to rent their space because if no one's in it, they can't make any money. Excuse me. So we last minute, because we kind of changed our route a little bit a couple times on the trip. Last minute, we wanted to stay by Disneyland. So there's a town called Yorba Linda outside of Anaheim. It's probably 10, 15 minutes from Disneyland. And
It's a great
I
area.
saw it on the map that we would be driving right through it. So I looked up that town. And we found a house that was normally like $800 to $1,000 a night, and I think we got it for $350. We were gonna just book it for a night or two. We ended up staying there 4 nights. It was a 3,500 square foot house on the very top of a hill
Huge.
with an infinity edge pool.
It wasn't Infinity.
It was not.
Oh, it had a pool. We were on the top of the hill, so it looked like infinity edge. You could see forever.
Yeah, you could.
And they had a dancing room,
Like a disco ball.
like a disco ball.
And like lights that.
They had all these different lights that would go off to the music.
Yeah.
So whatever song you turned on, it was like different lights going on. But it was actually the guy had converted their dining room into a dancing room because they had some after prom party at his house with his daughter and a bunch of people. And so he literally converted this room to a dance room. And they had a 100-inch projection screen TV in the living room. You hit a button, the projection screen came down. And it was a really, really nice house. The AC broke while we were there.
The AC upstairs.
And it was like the second hottest summer on record. So we sweat a lot, but we don't remember that part. We remember all the fun that we had, right? So
it was so fun.
Those are the kind of things that you really remember.
Lots of memories made, for sure. So real quick, we'll close out.
Weren't you going to talk, what was the thing? Challenges with traveling with kids? Was that kind of the thing
we were just
tonight?
gonna talk about
Okay, that's what I thought. I was just making sure I wasn't missing something.
I think the biggest thing is there's a lot of people that haven't traveled with their kids. And there's a lot of reasons that you don't. Resources, right? Fear. A lot of people have fear about traveling because for me, like my personality type, I am, if you know anything about the Enneagram, I'm a 1 on the Enneagram. But I like situations where I'm in control. And when you travel, you are not in control. And I mean, you are to a point, but you're not. There's like so many variables that go into traveling. And no, I don't know. Oh, don't worry about it right now.
Okay.
There's so many variables that go into traveling that ultimately, like, you may not be in control of, and that's scary to a lot of people, especially when you're traveling with kids. But the advantages far outweigh the disadvantages, and what you gain in memories and
Enneagram 7.
Oh, he's a 7, the adventurer. Yeah, so it makes sense.
It works.
What you gain in memories and just things that you can't ever take back and forget far outweigh the cost, the actual cost. So my biggest suggestion would be there's always ways to make extra money. So if you're just in a situation financially where there isn't the extra money to put into it, there's so many things right now in this world that you can do to make a little bit of money and put it back. And everything that you do with that money just gets put back. Gets put back because you and your family are working towards this thing. And I would bet to say as soon as you do it, you get the itch and it's hard to not. There's just so many great things that happen. So I would say set a goal, like have a conversation with your kids or have a conversation with your spouse and say, let's do this. Let's figure out how to make it happen. There's always a way. The money that even when you're in a tight situation, there's still money that we're spending frivolously. There's still things that we're buying that we don't need that will end up being donated 3 months later. Like, what if you really buckled down? What if you really said, no, you know what? We're going to create memories this year. We are going to create experiences for our kids. One of the last things I want to say is we read this book called The Power of Moments, and it talks a lot about how we have all these huge defining memories from our early teens into early 20s because so much drastically changes in our lives, and we have so many first-time experiences. So that's one of the things that creates a memory and a moment in your brain is you have these big firsts, like driving a car, going to prom, first kiss, like all the things. So when you can take your kids outside of their comfort zone and create a first moment for them, a different first moment, what you're doing is creating a bond that's even stronger than the experiences they're having at school. It's stronger than the things that are happening to them. And so it's just a really cool way it's a cool thing to think about how if you step into traveling with your kids, the power that it has to create these lasting moments with your kids that are, I think, invaluable. So you could just say what you're typing in.
Okay. Sorry, you were talking, so I didn't know. It's just like my favorite. That's just like my favorite scene lately. So.
Yeah. Stop touching the table. But you don't know what I said now, so you can't like finish.
I heard what you said.
Oh, okay. So that's all I have.
That's it.
I'll
say.
Close it out.
Well, I was gonna say one last thing. I was talking to someone at church yesterday about he's the father of 4 girls from 11 to 20, 12 to 20, something like that.
11 to 20.
And we were kind of joking after church, and he was like, man, it is just estrogen overload at my house all the time. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, he made a comment about, he said something about, we've got 6 more years or something until we're kid free, and kind of joked. And I know enough about him and his family to know that he's not trying to blink it away. But I said something about, I just really, as hard as it is having kids the age we have, I'm trying to appreciate it as much as I can, because I'm going to wake up tomorrow and my kids are going to be your kids' age. And he was like, no, he was like, enjoy it as much as you can because it happens so fast. And I just think that when you think about traveling and you think about, even today when we were talking about traveling over spring break, she said something about, the cost. And yes, the cost sometimes is more than what we want to spend. However, a year or 2 from now, the money you were going to spend traveling that you've probably now spent on something else, would it have been better served giving your kids a memory that they might not have had otherwise? So it's to see the look in our kids' eyes when we can say, you guys have been to Canada, you've been to Mexico, you've been on a 25-day road trip halfway around the country, you've been to Florida, you've been to Texas, you've been to Alabama, you've been to Louisiana, you've been to, and when we can name off all of the states, I think Addison and Luke, I think, are the same, but I think they have 29 or 30 states marked off of their state chart, and they're 11 and, well, now 10 as of today. So that's pretty incredible. And that's not something that was inexpensive, but I know it was something that most people could afford, because most of it was done in the car.
Yep.
Most of it was done staying in inexpensive places. And that's something that even Luke, our shy one, kind of wears that as a badge of honor. He's been a bunch of really cool places.
He is my one that wants to go.
Well, he's our homebody.
Yeah. By
far the most. Like, I pick him up from school and he goes, Dad, where are we going? I'm like, oh, we need to go to the car wash or something. Will you just drop me off at home? I just want to be at home. And you're like, oh, okay. But he's also the one that says, when are we going somewhere?
When we set our family goals at the beginning of the year, he was the one that said we need to travel 3 times before March.
We were like, whoa,
Okay.
before March? That's in 3 months. And he was like,
Yeah.
we need to travel more.
Okay,
And we were
that's
like,
enough.
wow. So our kids have the wanderlust bug, but a lot of that's because we've taken them a lot of places.
But it gives us also something to do together and things to dream about together, which is really cool. Like knowing that they both want to say they've been to every state before they graduate high school, like, and that's a goal. It's fun, and it's fun to plan those things and to dream about those things and all the things that they learn on the way and in the middle of it. So,
yeah.
Anyways.
The other thing too, when you're traveling with your kids, pick out 2 or 3 things along the way that are really eye-opening, fun things. So I only went on one kind of vacation, road trip, whatever, as a kid. We drove from Oklahoma to Colorado, but on our way in Colorado, we did the Royal Gorge, we did Pikes Peak, we did a couple of really cool things, and those are the things that I remember the most about that trip. I don't remember, well, I do a little bit, but staying in like really sketchy places because we couldn't afford it a lot or any of that. I don't remember what we ate. I don't remember how dirty the pool was that we swam in at the sketchy motel, even though it was dirty. But that trip changed my perspective on seeing other things. And that's only a 10-hour drive away, but it's a whole different world, through the eyes of a kid that most kids have only seen something within 100 miles of their house growing up. That can really change their perspective on the world. So don't take for granted as an adult, especially you guys that are seasoned, conditioned travelers. You've been a bunch of places, you've seen a bunch of stuff. Don't take for granted that your kids haven't. And a lot of times when we're traveling, we skip over the stuff that kids would absolutely be thrilled about because it doesn't bring the same shock and awe, wow, OMG type feeling to us, but it would to your kids.
Mm-hmm.
So sit down. Before our road trip, we actually did sit down with our kids and show them the route and show them all these cool things along the way. And they got to kind of pick some things for us to do. We did all the obvious things, the Grand Canyon, Yellowstone National, things like that. But then they also picked out some fun other things. Oh, you're making me yawn.
We have to go. It's ridiculous.
We have to go. They're probably all yawning too. It's probably why
asleep.
Not many people are on because it's been a hard couple of days transition since the time change. But yeah, we recommend travel with your kids. If you're thinking about it, do it. If you don't have the money, save it. Prepare for it.
It's never going to be easy. Even when you have the resources, like even if you have more resources than somebody who's like saying, we just really don't have money. Even if you have more resources, it's still hard because yes, that money can always be used for something else. But I would argue all day in a court of law that it's worth it over and over and over again to experience the world with your kids, even if it's just the next state or wherever it might be. It's just such an amazing experience. And so you're going to have to fight for it. You're going to have to fight to make it happen. You're going to have to fight for the schedule, the time, the resources, all of it, but it's worth it. 190%.
Yeah. And a lot of things, let's say you can't afford to take your kids to Mexico because it is expensive. 2 things to that. One, we have some good friends that are going to Mexico for spring break. They actually talked to their travel agent 6 or 7 months ago, and they paid it out over a 6 or 7 month period. So every month they paid, a few $100s. So that way when their trip came and their travel agent set all that up for them so they could do it that way. Second thing, our son, Luke, who's super well traveled, one of his favorite things to do is go on camping trips because you cook your food over the fire and you eat s'mores and you sleep in a tent and you tell ghost stories around the fire and all those things. So, and that doesn't cost hardly anything. I mean, $7, you can rent a camping spot at a state park and you set up a tent and you buy some groceries that you can grill over a fire and you have a fun night of, you probably won't get a whole lot of sleep as a parent camping in a random camping spot somewhere, but that's a memory that they'll have probably forever. And it might cost you $40 or $50. So if you need to start there, but just see the way it changes your kids and you'll be tired for a couple of days and they will too. But that memory they'll talk about for the next year or two. So you don't have to go crazy big to make a big difference in your kids.
It's true. So yeah, it's bedtime, y'all.
We got everybody yawning.
Everybody is yawning. I'm trying not to.
We almost didn't come on tonight because we were both really tired.
I'm trying not to do it again.
Don't do it again. Fight it. All right.
Thanks.
See you
for
guys.
joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
Hope you're planning your trips right now. Talk to you later.